October the 20th, 2023. Guys, things are getting completely out of hand in the Middle East right now. This article, which just came out, it says Iran has opened its silos, dozens of ballistic missiles ready to launch, while Israel's submarine fleet has sailed and they're loaded with nuclear missiles. Not only that, guys, we are at the point, I believe, to where the demons have went forth to the leaders of the world and to bring them all to war, Book of Revelation. Because Netanyahu and his bunch now have threatened Russia. I guess Russia works with Iran back and forth on different deals and everything. But now Israel is threatening Russia, said, we will not forget what you're doing. And I don't think Russia's really done that much to them, except they just hadn't went along with their defend us and send us all your money rhetoric that it seems like half the world is doing. And in the subtitle here, when you click on the article, notice it says Iran's request to Qatar to close the Al Udeid base to the Americans. Again, the world powers are being pulled into this area, guys, and it's going to collide. It continues. It says the thermometer and the tension in the Middle East are rising sharply as after yesterday's attempt by the Houthis to attack Israel from Yemen. Remember the video last night? U.S. Navy shot down these missiles. They were going from Yemen towards Israel. It says that today the Supreme Military Command of Iran gave an order for the sudden mobilization of the country's ballistic arsenal. The Iranian Guard's aerospace force put the ballistic missile command on high alert. According to Iranian sources, the Iranian Guard Air Force is set to conduct a major ballistic missile exercise near Qom. It says photos and videos show Iran moving dozens of ballistic missiles to launch sites. Ballistic missiles are coming out of the bowels, literally, of Iran's mountains. Ballistic missiles were spotted moving on a highway south of Tehran, the capital of Iran. It says no one knows yet if Iran will launch a missile as a warning. However, the city of Qom looks towards Iraq and Israel. Meanwhile, Iranian state media claim that Major General Mohammad Baghera, chief of the general staff of the Iranian Armed Forces, has asked the Qatari defense minister to defy the U.S. Air Force use of the Al Udeid air base near Doha. Because that's important, and that may spread to different bases around that area. And the Qatar, according to the Iranian agency, is evaluating Iran's request. It's a big air base. Our son did 6 months there in the Air Force himself. If the information transmitted by the Iranians is true, then this is a very worrying development. Iran has something in mind. Breaking. According to my sources, Iran and the Iranian Guard Aerospace Forces are going to hold this exercise as a show of force to the U.S. and Israel. At the same time, the Missile Command has been put on high alert. They have deployed their missiles to the various launch areas, is what they're talking about. And as I link to this, War News 247 again, then you'll see the different links to Twitter. You've got information there that I can't show. But it's saying it's not been confirmed, but from all reports that I have gotten, Iran is preparing for war against the U.S. and not Israel. Iranian strategic class ballistic missile launchers are on the move. This is quite unusual. This class of missile is rarely seen publicly outside of exhibitions and parades. Contingencies being planned. It says that the K-Bar Crusher was developed by the Geospatial Force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard and put into service recently. The missile is an advanced version of the Desval missile, which reached a range of 1,450 kilometers. And this is the second part. As all of this is going on, Israel has launched its fleet of nuclear-armed submarines. The Israeli Defense Forces reportedly deployed the submarine fleet amid rising tensions with Iran and Hezbollah. Doron Kadash, a journalist associated with the IDF, or the military radio group there, reported that Israel has begun deploying its submarine fleet across the region as part of the preps for possible combat scenarios, particularly in response to growing concerns that are related to Iran and Hezbollah. They're saying although it was not said where the subs were going, according to previous IDF exercises, these nuclear-capable subs are deployed into the eastern Mediterranean, the Arabian Sea, and the Red Sea. Israel's submarine fleet serves as a critical component of the country's military capabilities. These subs provide Israel with a powerful and versatile tool to safeguard its national security interests in both a defensive and offensive capability. A Dolphin submarine reportedly carries up to 16 torpedoes and missiles. The 5 Dolphin-class subs represent Israel's ace up its sleeve. They're saying the subs can disappear for weeks or even months, following a top-secret patrol route while they wait for orders to launch their missiles. I think every nation has basically the same thing, that carry nukes. The so-called second strike capability is based on the principle of nuclear deterrence and ensures that potential enemies will think twice before attacking. Of course you would. First 3 submarines, the Dolphin, the Leviathan, the Tacoma, were commissioned between 1999 and 2000. The second batch of these Dolphin subs, the Dolphin IIs, were ordered in the mid-2000s. So far, 45 military and civilian aircraft have landed in Israel carrying weapons, ammunition, and even medical equipment to support the IDF in its war against Hamas. And I think all of this outside rhetoric and saber-rattling has to do with slowing Israel's march into Gaza, making them think twice. You got folks in the north, you got Hezbollah, you got Egypt, Jordan, name it. You got people watching this very closely, and it looks like if the U.S. hadn't been sitting in the Mediterranean, if what we're getting is correct information last night, it would be a good chance that we'd be in full war right now. If you hit, when you hit Israel with the big missiles, they have the capability to retaliate, and you also have the U.S. sitting there with their fleets. Now, guys, this just came in on my computer, and we were talking about Egypt. It says the Egyptian Army Red Alert. Cairo to Israel. Cause of war if you displace 1 million Palestinians into Sinai. Deployment of forces in Sinai and Rafah. There's a video here you can take a look at. And just like I said, guys, I think these evil spirits have moved into the kings of the earth to bring them together for this battle. It says Egypt has begun a large-scale military exercise simulating a possible war with Israel in the Sinai region. The mobilization of the Egyptian armed forces was deemed necessary after the joint ultimatum of al-Sisi and King Abdullah of Jordan to Israel. Al-Sisi is the Egyptian leader. Continues, it says the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians to Sinai is a red line for Cairo, Egypt. And they don't want the trouble in their backyard. Jordan doesn't want the trouble there. That they don't want to have the same conflicts going on, but they are not going to tolerate. It doesn't look like they're going to tolerate Israel pushing these folks out of there. And Netanyahu and his group are dead set on doing this, forcing them out, more than likely not letting them back in. Now, you may hear a husky bark in the background here and there, but it says, yesterday the leaders of Egypt and Jordan rejected any attempt to forcibly relocate the residents of Gaza to their respective countries and stressed that if Israel-Hamas war does not stop, the entire region will be plunged into disaster. It should be noted that Egypt took yesterday's bombing of the Rafah border crossing as an act of war against Egypt. Again, they're telling the people to move south and out through the Rafah border while they're bombing it. In fact, there's some information which has not yet been confirmed that states that the Israeli missiles fell inside Egyptian territory. And it says that the Egyptian army has deployed hundreds of its soldiers to the Rafah border crossing to control the number of Palestinians who will exit from Gaza and enter Egypt. Today, the Egyptian army launched a surprise military exercise involving the Air Force as part of the preps for any possible war with Israel in the event of a conflict over 1 million Palestinian refugees who may enter Sinai from Gaza. Large number of armored vehicles, aircraft, as well as infantry units participate in the exercises. It says, according to the scenario, battles are fought in a desert area between the Red and Blue armies. You know what that means. Given its geographical location, Egypt cannot ignore the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. The fact is that the territory of the Gaza Strip is located between Israel, Egypt, and the Mediterranean Sea. So there's a big risk that the escalation will directly affect this Arab country one way or the other. Yom Kippur all over again, plus some added players. For this reason, a German delegation recently visited Cairo, and according to the British newspaper Independent, British Prime Minister Sunak intends to visit Egypt to discuss the situation in Gaza. It is noted that the exercises in Egypt have now started despite the fact that just before last month, the country hosted the Bright Star exercises, which are considered the largest in the Middle East. They involved 34 countries, including the United States. And it goes back, it says on the 16th of the month and yesterday, the IDF carried out airstrikes on the city of Rafah, which is located south of the border with Egypt and is the only passage through which humanitarian aid could pass to Gaza. There were, I think it was yesterday, possibly the day before also, there were long lines of 18-wheelers with food in them just stopped along the highway, couldn't get in. It says, with Israel having blockaded the Gaza Strip from all sides, the humanitarian crisis in the Palestinian enclave is deepening. Thousands of tons of aid have been collected at the Rafah crossing on the border with Egypt, but it remains closed and there's a street race between the Americans and the Egyptians to open it. More than 100 trucks are waiting near the Rafah crossing on the Egyptian side, while additional aid is waiting in the town of Al Aris, but Israeli bombers have rendered the crossing inoperable. The Rafah crossing between the Gaza Strip and Egypt is the only passage for aid to enter Gaza directly from outside Israel and the only exit that does not lead to Israeli territory. The crossing is in the southern part of the Gaza Strip, a narrow strip of land home to 2.3 million people that lies between Israel, Egypt, and the Mediterranean Sea, but it's controlled by Egypt on the other side. Now, again, Gaza is roughly 22 miles long, averages about 4 or 5 miles wide. Down at the southern parts of it, it's about 8 miles wide, so it's not very large at all. Think about 2.3 million people there. Now they don't have power, water, or food. It's getting really bad. Something's got to give here one way or the other, or you're going to have mass starvation in that area. And guys, it looks like some of the major players are playing both sides of this game. It says Iran orders general attack on Israel. U.S. sends the IDF thousands of artillery shells intended for Ukraine. Shock in Kiev and Zelensky, hundreds of Shiites are transferred to Golan and Lebanon. Think about it. They know what's going to happen in Ukraine now. It's basically over with. They're already talking about dividing it up. There's not much left for anyone to do. I don't know if the U.S. was trying to save face and continuing that or protect certain things that didn't need to be there. But it looks like now they've switched horses and trying to find a winning side to prop themselves up. And guys, I'll end it here, and of course you'll get the links. It says hundreds of Shiite members of the pro-Iranian Kataib Hezbollah militias board buses in Baghdad to be taken to the Iraqi-Syrian-Jordan border. From there, they will either concentrate on the Golan Heights or move to Lebanon to open new fronts against the Israeli army. Now, you just keep an eye on it, guys. Again, warnews247.gr, GR's because it's originally in Greek. And you got the translation option, I know in Google on Windows you do, and I think on most of them now. But if someone has a question, I'm not a Mac user and I'm not an iPhone user. But usually someone in the comments, guys, will answer you because somebody's got the same gear that you have if you're having trouble with the translations from that website. We're watching it, guys. Be prepared. We're right on the verge. We're in the book of Revelation, no doubt. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.